Good evening, Sharks fans. The Sharks come out with a great effort against the Anaheim Ducks, beating the Ducks 3-0. 2 goals by Evander Kane in his debut as a San Jose Shark in the playoffs, and a goal by the Wookiee himself, Brent Burns, with a beautiful point shot. And the Sharks ride into the playoffs with a 1-0 series lead against the Anaheim Ducks. Good evening and welcome to Teal Town, USA After Dark. If you want to be a part of the show, use the hashtag TealTownUSA on Twitter, and you can follow us at TealTownUSA. So either use that hashtag against Teal Town USA or on AJ Strong, Jentry Alexander, or Mr. Kevin Lacy. And of course, I'm Erik Landi. And that's my panel tonight. Guys, how are you doing? How was your reaction to game one? Kind of awesome. Why don't you go ahead, AJ?
I was going to say, call out a panel member. Well, I mean, obviously, you get a 3-0 victory in Anaheim. Feels pretty dang good. There's other things to discuss, but we'll just say, hey, 3-0 victory before we dive in period by period. But great. Anaheim hadn't lost by a shutout in the playoffs in 4 seasons. So this is exactly the start the Sharks wanted, especially after how many 2-1, 1-0, 3-2 games. It's a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Gentry, what were your initial thoughts on the game, and what'd you think?
His initial thoughts?
I kind of thought that the Sharks had I'm not going to break it down period by period, but I like the outcome of the game. I mean, it's always good when you win 3-0 over an arch rival, and kind of getting that little bit of revenge after that 2009 series where the Sharks should have clearly won it, and the Ducks found a way to steal it from them. So it's nice to steal one at the Honda Center. You know, hopefully we'll steal another one on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. And then we're also joined by Kevin Lacy, who's going to also break down the Barracuda game. But Kevin, I mean, you probably didn't get to see a lot of the game tonight, but from your initial, I guess, brush thoughts on what you saw, what you did see, and the outcome.
Well, I was following the game on Twitter at Tealtown USA. I was following it on Twitter, and it seemed like the fans were really just pleased. Even when it was 0-0, it sounded like the fans were just really happy with the game. Everyone was saying, "Oh, such a great hockey game," and then obviously 3-0. Wow, way to show up, Team Teal. I was at SAP Center for the Barracuda game this evening, and man, when the 3-0 score was announced, the place just, I mean, obviously, how much can it blow up when there's 3,000 fans in there? But still, the place got just, went crazy, riotous, just in elation. So it was pretty awesome. And actually, it helped. I actually think it helped the Barracuda out because they ended up scoring the winning goal like right after the 3-0 announcement. So it was awesome.
For sure. All right. Well, let's go ahead and break down that first game. I mean, throughout the first period, it was very much, I guess, in the first 5 minutes, Anaheim kind of dictating the pace of play a little bit. The Sharks a little bit on their heels. Martin Jones made some good saves. I felt the Sharks were in that bend but don't break kind of defensive structure. So kind of everything off to the peripheries. Nothing, too high dangerous in that first period. I thought there was a wicked bounce. Actually, one of the defensemen shot it off the back of the boards, and it came right out in front of Martin Jones. Kind of a little bit of a scary situation, but the Sharks really weathered it nicely. We got some penalties. Marcus Pettersson holding on Timo Meier. Timo Meier came out flying tonight. I mean, he was very ready from the get-go. I felt Evander Kane probably tiptoed a little bit into the game, but still a very, very strong presence as we'll get into rolling into it. But man, Timo Meier off the hop was just bulldozing. What did you guys think of Timo and AJ? I mean, we've been waiting for Timo's coming out party. Is this it?
I don't want to get crazy. It's one game in the playoffs. Timo did look strong. Let's talk about that penalty, which was one of the silliest things I've ever. I mean, Montour wraps Timo up around the neck, pushes him into Gibson, pushes him down, and somehow Timo gets called for goalie interference. Somebody needs to explain that one to me. Also, in the first, watching this, the Sharks get a couple power plays, and the first one looked pretty decent. They got some good looks, although it ended with the puck kind of dribbling down the boards, and it's literally coming to Bottker. Botker's like 10 feet from it, and Vlasic is middle of the ice, and he makes Vlasic skate all the way over to take it for some reason. I don't know what Bottker is thinking in that situation. Just lets the puck drip by. I don't get that. Kessler would hit Hurdle, get 2 minutes on a really dumb play right into the blue line, which is a sign of things to come from Kessler in this game. And the second Sharks power play that they got in the first period actually looked worse than the first one. I didn't have a lot of hope after the first period because as that wound down, the Sharks were giving the puck away a lot and not a lot of Sharks possession towards the end of that. It spelled doom for me after the first period. I was a little nervous about the second, Landy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, the first 5 minutes of that was very much Ducks dominated. The middle portion was very much Sharks dominated. And then the ending portion, the Ducks got some scary chances. Gentry, what did you think about the chances that the Sharks were giving up in their own end? What did you think of the defense that the Sharks were kind of deploying?
It just kind of seemed lackadaisical. It was like, they could have made just simple plays, trying to just get the puck out, but they were letting the kind of Ducks kind of just intimidate them and hit them along the boards. And it was Ducks playing Duck style hockey. And it just took I feel like it took like maybe 10 minutes or so into the game for the Sharks to kind of get their legs going and to kind of get some momentum. I think it just took that first power play while it was, a cluster, bang of, bad chances. It was still, I think that's what kind of got the momentum swinging their way because they were getting shots on goals. They were testing Gibson out, and it was, it was like how you guys said, it was a lot of bending, but they weren't breaking. And, it kind of seemed like for the first period, in hindsight, it's 2020, it kind of seemed like the Sharks were playing rope-a-dope to see, how they can lure the Ducks into playing their over-aggressive style of game and seeing how the Sharks could capitalize on it.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Kevin, I know you didn't see the game, but you're definitely aware of just how big the Anaheim forwards are kind of bearing down on the Sharks defense. I mean, can you comment a little bit on Anaheim's style of play and why it is effective?
Yeah, I thought that the Sharks, I didn't like the matchup against the Ducks, just because the Ducks are a team, obviously they are bigger. They're also a team that I'm sure is tired of losing in the first round of the playoffs every single year. So I expect this to just be a completely grueling series. And if it isn't, then what the heck is Anaheim's problem, honestly?
Well, hold on. Wait. Didn't Anaheim go to the Western Conference Final last year?
They did.
Then what do you mean but losing in the first round?
I think what Kevin's trying to say, though, is just playoff upsets and playoff disappointment.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
look at all the years before that.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the Sharks world. Maybe it just took, the Teal syndrome kind of melted down and went to SoCal. So.
Well, just kind of piggybacking off everybody said, and we're talking about it a little bit, but the Sharks on the shots on goal for the Sharks in the first period, it was 8-4 in favor of the Sharks against Anaheim. So the shot clock really didn't. I don't think it really tells a lot about the flow of play. I think it's a little misleading. It paints the Sharks in a little bit better picture, but the face-off dot numbers were very telling of the flow of play. I think Anaheim went something like 60%, 63% in that first period of faceoffs. The Sharks did not look great. And really, I mean, they kind of had to pull it together there and make some second half adjustments. By the way, we've got almost 60 people watching, and we really appreciate it. This is the busiest time of year for us.
It's the most wonderful time
We put this on
Too early for that.
we put the show on for all the viewers, and the reason why we did this is because the San Jose Sharks just really lacked a lot of coverage. I mean, we have talked about it previous. You can go back into other videos, but just the Sharks coverage in general is kind of lacking. So, we put this together. We're doing it for you. If you guys have any questions, please leave it in the chat or use that hashtag TealTownUSA. And we've also got a subscribe button. So we're going to be doing this all throughout the playoffs. Use the subscribe button and use the little notifications ringer bell because that will actually tell you whenever we go live. We do a lot of pre-games during really important games. We do post games after every game. And we've also got some really cool stuff talking to Sharks business execs, talking to Sharks former players. We've just got some really great content. We've got some more great content coming out. So
we will be talking to Jamie Bakerson, by the way. So
awesome.
Look forward to that.
Awesome.
And to touch on what you were saying there, the Sharks did edge the Ducks in shots across all situations, but they trailed 5-5 in shot attempts, 12-9. And they had 2 attempts in the last minute, which cut down the gap a little.
Yeah. So going into the second period, because I think we pretty much wrapped up a nice bow on that first period, but going into the second period,
oh my God,
what the hell did they do in the dressing room? I mean, did they all chug Red Bulls and just say, fuck it, let's go? Because man,
easy.
You want to talk about a complete 180. Just look at the shot counter. 17 shots in the second period to Anaheim's 9. The Sharks do all of their damage in that second period, score a 5-on-3 goal, which, we all want the 5-on-3s to be automatic. The Sharks during the regular season have kind of been a little lackadaisical on 5-on-3s. I think we can all say that. So it was really nice to see Kane just be completely alone in the slot and just fire it past Pavelski with a very Thornton-esque pass from behind. AJ, what did you see out of that power play, and why was it so effective 5-on-3?
Dude, I don't know right now. Dude, I'm looking at the chat right now, and I am freaking the hell out because Chris is talking about crashing my house for game 2. I'm not going to be here, bro. So good luck with that. But if you want to come with me to where I'm going, no sweat. In the second period, in my notes, yeah, I love the fact that the Sharks take advantage of first Cogliano and then Getzlaf going total ham, slashing Kevin LeBanc. But this was the period that everything kind of flipped. The Sharks were just buzzing, especially after Kane's first goal. They came out a little on edge. It felt like you got Montour just holding Vlasic's head down in the crease for no particular reason other than he's a jerk off. You've got Kessler just dive bombing Hurdle in the circle, ripping his lid off. And then somehow Dylan got a penalty out of all of that. I'm still trying to figure out how that worked. But Kane gets that goal and takes out the crowd, kind of loosens everybody up on the bench. They get that first one. Everybody's like, okay, now we got it. And it was if you saw that setup, it was awesome. Great play from Dylan to get it to Pavs, who gets it over to Kane. So fantastic. And after Kane scores his second one, did you see Gibson? They had a shot of Gibson and he was just kind of, he was done. I was surprised he didn't, no player is ever going to ask to be pulled, but he had, it was written across his face. Even Randy Hahn commented.
Yeah, very much. After that third goal in the second period, very not very demonstrative. And
no, it was after the second one.
Right after the second
one. It was before Burns even put one in.
Yeah, Gentry. Let's talk about that second goal, that second Kane goal, where Pavelski and Kane, and I believe it's Donskoy, or maybe it's one of the defensemen. I can't remember, but it's a 3-on-1. And boy, we saw some slick mix from Kaner. What do you think on that second?
Well, the third assist, or the secondary assist, was from Brendan Dillon, so he had himself quite a game today. He made a nice little pass. He saw that Pavelski was open in the slot. He saw that there was an easy 2-on-1 developing. A lot of things about Pavelski that are kind of don't get recognized that much is he is an effective playmaker. Even before he became this like elite goal scorer, when he was paired up with Jumbo, but he's known to make some really nice passes, and he just laid a nice little saucer to Evander Kane, and just Evander Kane doing Kaner things, and just undressing Gibson, and and not even calling her afterwards. So good for Kaner on that one. That was a nice highlight reel goal. But it was just like the whole setup, because it just was, the transition was so quick. It was Dylan had it off to Pavelski, and then it was just like, oh, there's a 2-on-1. Let's see what they're going to do with it. And it just, it couldn't have ended better. And I think that Kane was excited to be in his first playoff game. It showed. It showed on the first goal, and it definitely showed on that second goal.
Dude literally had like blue balls, but in hockey.
Yeah.
When it comes to the playoffs.
Kevin, as far as from like a more of a technical and just kind of play style wise, why does Pavelski and Kane work together so well?
I don't know. That's an excellent question. I think it's just you've got all three guys complementing each other with something completely different. I mean, you've got Kane, who has finesse, but he also is a power forward, really. I mean, he can play the body. He's a bigger body. Then you've got Joe Pavelski. Oh, and Kane has speed too. Pavelski doesn't exactly have the speed, but he's got the smarts, and he's obviously got the leadership, and he's got a lethal shot. And then you've got Donskoy, who's all finesse, all speed, but he's also defensively responsible. So it's not like any one thing that each of them provide, but like you've got these guys who are strongest in three different aspects, but they're all good at the secondary aspects that, I don't know. It's just, yeah. I hope you understand where I'm trying to go.
No, yeah. It's
Definitely.
like it's like three complementary pieces. It takes different. It's like making a band. It's like you have like everybody's eclectic takes, and it makes great music. And that's what it is. It's like
and on different levels too.
And yes, and I think that Kane didn't really have that on Buffalo, because he was kind of like lost in that jumbled mess that is the Buffalo Sabres. But I think he kind of saw what the light was at the end of the tunnel with the Sharks, is that he can just play his game. He's not going to be dictated. And, him and Pavelski already get along so great. And it's just, they had that chemistry from day one that Kane came onto the team. And it's been really effective. I would be really surprised if Kane doesn't sign back after, in the off season. Like, I think he kind of realized that he has a home here.
Well, he is an RFA, so we still have his rights.
Yeah.
No, he's a UFA.
He's a UFA.
Is he?
Yeah, but there's no way he doesn't sign. I mean, you're talking 99%. I mean, he's clearly slotted in, not to mention the fact that he's in a market that is pretty like passionate fans, but are
not crazy.
Yeah, we're, chill group here. There's, lots going on. And I think that is very appealing to a guy like Kane. So I definitely see him going to be here for the long haul. Now, the thing is, for me, if Thornton is ready, I don't want him slotted on that line.
No.
Lacy was talking about Pavelski, Donskoy, Kane complementing each other very nicely right now. You bring in Thornton, let him center, and this is what I'm kind of looking to. I would like to see Thornton centering the third line between LeBanc and Timo to give those guys a real solid, Tierney has been playing very well, but I would love to give them an all-star playmaker to really kind of take their game to the next level. And it helps reduce Thornton's minutes a little bit, lets him slide in, and he's also available there for power play time. I think that would be the perfect sitch.
Well, I'd say put him on the fourth line.
Let's talk. Let's go a little bit.
Well, you would be wrong.
That's not the first time, but whatever.
Well, let's wrap up the second period. We have Burns scoring a really nice goal. I mean, it just basically lets off a wrister when Gibson's not ready. Gibson did really look shaky on that last goal, and boy, that just put the dagger into the Ducks, and they looked deflated. I mean, that team was different after that third goal. Guys, do you have any quick comments on that last goal, and then we'll wrap up the rest, and we'll kind of get into the series as a whole.
Oh, a sweet shot from the blue line, and Gibson was done already before then. I mean, if he's just whipped right by him, there really wasn't much in his line of sight to come all the way from the blue line like that. Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if Gibson does not start the next game as well. He might have, who knows if he saw any type of an injury tonight or
well,
if
Gibson missed the last 2 weeks of the season because
exactly
of an undisclosed upper body injury. I don't know how much of that's really believable, but he was out for a significant chunk there at the end of the year.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying it wouldn't surprise me if Gibson does not go and they say, you know what? We look at history, Ryan Miller, little bit of a Sharks killer when he was Buffalo, Vancouver, not as much. But let's see what maybe Miller can do. He's got good stats as well versus the Sharks.
Yeah. Gentry, why don't you go ahead and wrap the second period up with your final thoughts on it?
Oh, what I liked is that it was all Sharks in that period, 5-on-3 goal, a nice, even strength, 2-on-1. They buried their chance with Kane. And then it was just, I wouldn't say it was a fluky play, but it was just putting pucks to the nets and good things happen. And it was Brent Burns with his first, and he had him, other than having his shots blocked a couple times, he pretty much had a pretty decent game, other than a couple of turnovers. But I would say that, this was the period that the Sharks needed, and it led into a third period where they could just kind of hunker down and shut down defensively.
Nice.
And speaking of the third period, here's Erik Landi.
Well, going into that third period, the Sharks kind of went back into the bend, not break mold. The defense, I think, conceded the defensive blue line just a little bit more in that third period. I mean, the shots tell a little bit of that story. It's 9-12 in favor of Anaheim in the shot counter for that third period. Martin Jones doing some really solid goaltending. I mean, really unsung hero tonight. There was a lot of crazy bounces, and he did really well. The Sharks, again, defensive placement was really well. I really loved the active stick work that you saw from the Sharks tonight. It was really evident in the defensive zone. You saw a lot of pucks be deflected, a lot of chances being broken up. I mean, not really much more you could ask for from a defensive perspective. And really, I mean, that's kind of the tail of the game. They were just powered through that second period, and that won them the game. Kind of going over the rest of the stats, shots on goal for the final total tonight, 34-25 in favor of the Sharks. Face off. Now the Sharks got, ate pretty hard in that first period, but came back and actually evened up and actually went a little bit ahead in the face-off department. They win 53% on the face-off dot. They go 1 for 6 on the power play, and we're going to touch on this in a little bit. And the Ducks go 0 for 3 on the power play. The Ducks with their typical bullshittery with 14 penalty minutes, but I mean, there should have been more at the end. Perry should have gotten a game misconduct, in my opinion. That was just laughable.
No, yeah, I would agree with that.
Hits 22-41 in favor of the Ducks. However, if you possess the puck, you're going to get hit. Not to mention the puck stats is kept by an in-arena staff. So it's very tended to skew heavy towards the home team. So,
but look at the way the Sharks have been all season. They've typically been on the bottom end of the hit counter.
Right.
I want to give a shout out to Tomas Hertl. He was 68% in the faceoff circle tonight. So kudos.
Despite getting his head tried to be knocked off by Kessler twice.
But
right.
that's Duck style of hockey. They're going to go for the debaggery of it all. And look at
I don't want to play that on all the Ducks, but
Corey Perry.
15,
Corey
10,
Perry,
and 17.
Well, I was going to say Kessler, Montour, Perry.
But
absolutely.
it's just if you look
Getzlaff a little bit.
But if you're looking at the way that they were playing tonight, it was, the Sharks kind of did a really good job of just letting the Ducks kind of shoot themselves in this duck hunt. I think what really kind of it came down to was discipline, and the Sharks had plenty of it. It was, 14 penalty minutes to the Sharks 8. And if they can keep playing that style where they just let the Ducks continuously do that to themselves, they will easily win this series.
So
that was one of my keys for this was get into Kessler and Perry's head. Let those guys take dumb penalties. We saw what happened in the third when Perry comes in, he grazes Jones, and like every guy in a Shark sweater mobbed him. And I don't think it was a case of, oh, we have to protect Jones at all costs and everything. I think had that been like, say, Cogliano, I don't know that you would have seen that. But because it was Perry, I think that's one of the reasons why you saw that. That guy, obviously, he's got a rep. And it is one of those things that, in fact, I was thinking about this during the game, too. And, you know, we can touch on, you know, tell me if I'm wrong. But I do kind of miss those playoffs where you have, like, that guy on the team that you just hate. Like, versus the Kings, I don't hate Drew Doughty.
Oh, I do.
I mean, I do. The dude plays long, tough minutes.
You're talking about the Steve Otts of the world, and
I'm talking about
Prongers.
Steve Otts, Chris Pronger, Sean Avery's, Theo Fleury's, like guys that are Rafi Torres, Ed Belfour. Yeah, just guys that you just want to, you know, if you had the chance, boy, you know. And Corey Perry fits that mold.
Totally.
Kessler fits that mold. And up until tonight, I never had a kind of an opinion one way or the other on Montour's game until tonight, until I caught him tonight taking some really stupid liberties. Kessler taking liberty after liberty with Hertl, and credit to Hertl. He took it, and then you know, he got Kessler in the box a couple times, and he's just kind of like, hey, scoreboard, you know, deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
no, that's what you need to do. That's how you beat this team.
Yeah,
and
so
that was my key going into this, man, is just
get
into those guys' heads.
The only thing that if the Sharks can just, you know, ease up on their giveaways, because they had
that's what I want to go into is the final pieces of the stats. Great segue, Gentry. Giveaways 13-10 in favor of the Sharks, which is not a great thing, and the blocks 20-13 in favor of the Sharks. So the Sharks were kind of having to block a lot because of the giveaways. Go ahead, Gentry.
No, but I'm just saying, if you can kind of ease up on the giveaways and just because in the playoffs, it's not about the flashy plays. You just got to make the simple ones. It's like the simple dump ins, the simple clears and the simple passes that get you out of the zone, because we saw that. It was a simple pass to Pavelski that led to that 2-on-1 that led to Kane scoring. Yeah. You know, it was just good reads of the play and seeing an opportunity and seizing it. So I think if the Sharks can just play their style that they did tonight, just fine-tune it just a wee bit better, they'll have the series done, you know, I don't want to say, you know, in 4, but they'll have it done very quickly.
And it's the Sharks took advantage of the opportunities they were given. Anaheim called 6 penalties tonight. You could make an argument that they could have been called for a couple more. You know, those 2 shots that Kessler had on Hertl. The end of the game, which was ridiculous, where when there's, I don't know, 10 seconds, 12 seconds left, as the Ducks are trying to get the puck low, as they're coming in, Perry trips Tierney. No call. And right after that, Perry then goes into the corner with Dylan and sucker punches Dylan not once but twice. And somehow he only gets 2 for that. And Dylan gets 2 for cross-checking Corey Perry. So I don't know what the refs were necessarily looking at, but the refs did give every opportunity for the Sharks. I mean, doubled up in power or, you know, in penalty calls. But, you know, Anaheim Ducks fans can sit there and go, well, you got twice as many calls. Well, the Ducks did twice as many dumb things, if not more. So refs are going to call it. And especially when you look at what happened with Doughty's stupidity and getting 1 game. I'm sorry, if Nazem Kadri doesn't get like a minimum of 4 of what he did to Wingles tonight, there's something wrong. You would think that the NHL would want to send a message and saying, we are not going to tolerate head hits, especially when you look at all the problems with CTE. We're not tolerating that.
It doesn't exist.
And yeah, exactly. Doesn't it? Oh, what's CTE? I would think that, I'm sorry, Nazem Kadri, he should get suspended the rest of the series. And I'm rooting for Toronto in this series. But I think, Kadri, you don't do that. And you gone for the series. You gone.
Right. So I mean, that's a great point, AJ. That you bring up officiating. Tonight, it looked like we went back to early season penalty calls.
That's usually what seems to happen the first couple of days of the playoffs. I feel every year.
Yeah.
Well, in what way do you mean?
Because the slash and call was the call de jour in the first 2 weeks of the season, and we were seeing slash and call upon slash and call. And some of those slash and calls tonight were a little weak. I mean, like on both sides.
No, totally. And oh my God, the one on Dylan.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I don't want to. I love my playoff hockey 5-on-5. So I mean, I hope that they kind of ease off the penalties a little bit more.
But if they're blatant, call it. Like
yeah,
if it's a clear trip, if it's a clear, cross check, call it. Don't just sit there and say, well, it's playoff hockey. We're going to let them beat the crap out of each other like this. It's like, if it's clearly like, the stick is in the skates, call it. If Corey Perry is just sucker punching while you're trying to break it up, call him on it, because maybe that will detract him from being a D-bag.
Yeah, I agree, Gentry. I think that's a really good point. And I think that we're going to see that in particular in these playoffs, because it does look like they're coming down hard. I mean, Drew Doughty got a suspension for a really borderline hit. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's interesting how this kind of ebbs and flows. But let's break down. Let's put a bow on this game. Let's go on time of ice. Joe Pavelski second leading forward with 1917. Couture with 1938. Evander Kane, 1813. Eric Fair had 9 minutes, 30 seconds. That's what it's kind of looking at. But basically, the person with the least amount of ice time was Marcus Sorensen with 8:54. Guys, I mean, this is really balanced. I mean, Peter DeBoer was rolling 4 lines. I mean, he did not have a problem putting out anybody.
But that's easy to do when you're leading 2-0, 3-0. You can give the bottom 6 and the lower pairs a little more ice time when you got that 3-0 lead halfway through the game. You're going to balance that out. If the situation is reversed, say the Sharks are down 2-0 going into the third, I expect that fourth line to maybe see one shift.
Yeah. Going over on the defensive side, Brent Burns logged 28 minutes. Now he had 8 minutes of power play time, so that kind of skews it a little bit.
Yeah.
But quite a bit of minutes logged on for the Burnsy there.
And can we talk about Vlasic and Braun tonight? Just absolutely shutting the Ducks down.
Oh my God,
they looked fantastic.
They looked fantastic. I mean, they're
so frustrating to Montour.
Yeah, I mean, look, the key that I had to this series was if the Sharks could use their speed and exploit the
what speed?
No, look.
I mean, Kane, Sorensen,
Donskoy, Timo Meier, LeBanc, Bodker.
Okay, Bodker, I'll give you.
Yeah, so
you know what? You don't know how often I forget that he is on the team. I'm not even kidding you, dude. Like I was running through the lines earlier. I'm like, okay, so it's obviously Pavelski, Kane, Donskoy, Hurdle, and Couture. Okay, who skates with him? Because you knew that everybody was healthy for the Fair and Goodrow and all those guys are coming back, and it was kind of like, now we know Peter DeBoer's proclivity for playing veterans. Are you, Landy, surprised that you did not see Hansen or Ward on that fourth line instead of Sorensen?
To be quite honest, a little bit. I mean, but I think I heard a little bit of an interview, a little bit of a snippet. It was on NHL.com, but Sorensen really proved himself in the last few games of the season and really did buy a lot of stock.
And what he did versus Edmonton in the playoffs last year. I'll give him that. But I'm a little surprised to see PDB, who has that veteran love, put in Carlson and Sorensen over both Ward and Hansen. Like, I'm a little surprised that one of those two guys did not make it out onto the roster sheet tonight.
Yeah, very much so. Well, we've got Kevin Lacy here. He was there at the Barracuda. Let's go a little bit into that because it was a good segue from Marcus Sorensen, who is a Barracuda product.
Oh, time for me to drink them if you got them. I'll be back, boys.
Kevin, first off, I mean, what was the outcome tonight for the Barracuda? Are their playoff hopes still alive?
Playoffs? What are you talking about? Playoffs? A month ago, we had Barracuda After Dark, and I said that the Barracuda would essentially need to win out in order to make the playoffs. And yet here we are, 2 games left in the regular season, and the Barracuda are still in the mix. I can't freaking believe it. They won 4-3 tonight over the Bakersfield Condors. They've come out of being in last place in the division to being in 5th. Now, they need a little bit of help because they do need San Diego to lose their last 2 games. San Diego plays tomorrow. I forgot who they play. Tucson? I think they play Tucson. And then both the Barracuda and the Gulls play Saturday night. So it's going to be very interesting here. I can't believe it. I really can't. And the big reason, besides the fact that the power play, talk about the Sharks power play, the Barracuda power play was 30th in the AHL. There's only 30 teams. They've scored in 10 straight games on the power play, and they've climbed up to 20th. It's pretty insane.
Who's the with Bebeau getting called up? Who's the Cuda goalie tonight?
There you go. So the very suspicious call-up of Antoine Bibeau here.
Well, no, it's not suspicious.
It is.
No, almost all teams carry 3 goalies in the playoffs. All right, just make your point and answer the damn question.
Stephon Williams was in net, and he wasn't really tested. Bakersfield, I mean, here's a guy who, up until a couple weeks ago, hadn't won an AHL game in 14 months. And he is now the starting netminder by default for the Barracuda. But he looked decent tonight, and he stopped, I believe it was, let me just pull it up here. He stopped 15 of 18 shots, which doesn't sound great, but thankfully, I mean, the Barracuda really, really played a strong game. And the big difference here the last couple of weeks have been the new prospects that were brought in from juniors, Sasha Smoleevsky and Ivan Chekhovich, who everyone is Americanized to Chekovich. But they both scored tonight. They both got their 3rd goals of the season.
Give it to Lacy for those pronunciations, please.
Oh, thank you.
Very good, Lacy.
It's not easy. And Benjamin Castle in the chat pointing out that as far as he knows, that teams are required to carry 3 goalies. So who else are the Sharks going to? I mean, maybe they could try to find an accountant in Chicago.
If that's true, that's news to me, and good pull there. But yeah, I mean that if that is true, that's another thing of just terrible timing for the farm team, as that's kind of what happens for farm teams in the playoffs. But wow, I mean, there's 1 game left. It's against Stockton on Saturday night in Stockton. Tonight was fan appreciation night. I have to say, there wasn't a whole lot this year for fan appreciation as there have been in the past 2 years. But they were giving away prize packs all night. And but yeah, I'd say about 3,000 people showed up, which is still much better than a typical Barracuda crowd. And especially surprising given that the Sharks obviously played tonight and this game was moved. It was supposed to be tomorrow night. I actually think they would have drawn more if they just kept the schedule. But
yeah. Well, very impressive when you consider that there was a watch party literally a half a mile away.
Dude, so I walked past the Brit on my way to the arena, and the Brit was packed.
Well, you do know the Stanley Cup and Sharky were both there. I'm not lying.
Well, Owen Nolan is pleased with that turnout, so good for the Brit. So, Lacy, so I just wanted to ask you a quick question. How's my boy Bolsters doing?
I knew that was coming. He had a really nice setup on the Smoleevsky goal. It started with Rourke Chartier. I believe that was the 2nd goal. It started with Rourke Chartier at center. I know Landy's not going to be happy to say this. I thought Chartier played a pretty poor game tonight. I'm sorry to say that. Yeah.
Well, it happens. Hey, Lacy, just so we can address something in the chat, can you do me a favor? Turn around and show people the back of your jersey.
The back of my jersey?
Yes. So just to prove to the chat, yes, he actually paid money for that.
You know what, though? I'm glad you brought that up before.
Here we go.
Gentry's point. So the orange jerseys were retired a couple weeks ago. Like,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, crap. Now I almost kind of want to buy one. And the only I'm not a fan of the orange. I just really like, I wish that was the crest. I love that crest.
Oh, well, stay tuned.
Hey, now.
But yet here they were tonight. They wore orange. It was like, wait a minute, you made all this hullabaloo about this is the final game in orange, and then they wore orange tonight, like the encore.
The extra orange jerseys might have been on clearance in the store.
I was kind of thinking that too. But yeah, going back to what Gentry asked, Chartier set up Balsers 2-on-1. And just a really nice vision. My biggest compliment to Balsers has been his vision this season, because 40 goals last year in juniors, known as a sniper and nothing else. And even at the start of the year, he showed like he was an
effective playmaker.
Yeah, not really a playmaker, certainly not defensively responsible. And both of those aspects have completely shined for him this year. I think, he is definitely one to watch, the leading scorer on the team this year. And
did he beat
what's up?
Did he beat O'Regan's rookie scoring record or something like that in goals?
Ooh, I will need it. Goals, probably. Points, I don't know. I'd have to check on that.
Because I knew he had, like, in their first season, I thought he was like 2 away from, last time I checked, he was like 2 away from the record that O'Regan set.
Record.
Yeah.
Let's touch on the chat for a moment.
Yeah.
First thing that I find very funny. Leanne saying the Barracuda always wear orange on fan appreciation, as if the CUDA has been here for the last 20 years. No, I got a kick out of that. But Benjamin Castle asking, do you see the Barracuda staying in San Jose if Oracle Arena stays up after the Warriors move to Oakland? Okay, number one, Oracle Arena is not staying up. The A's are going to buy that property. That's going to be redeveloped. Everybody can talk about Howard Terminal. Yeah, that's great, but it's not going to happen. I'm telling you, they're good. With the traffic flow between the BART access, 880, the A's are going to stay there. Mark my words. I will bet money on that. When it comes to, though, moving the CUDA, no, they're not going to move. They're going to stay here. Why? Because they're right next door. The Sharks can keep a fantastic little eye on them, and they control the Shark Tank. You don't want them to be at a facility that they don't control.
There were a lot of rumors right around Christmas time that the Barracuda might be moving to Fresno the season after next. Now, those rumors have died down, and I don't know where they even started, but I haven't heard that in a while. So
it was probably Megan.
So as far as I'm aware, the Barracuda will be in San Jose next year. I do need to gripe on one thing, though. Aaron Fonseca, you said repeatedly tonight, thank you all. We'll see you next season. Hey, we still have a shot at the playoffs. Screw you.
It wouldn't be a Lacy appearance without something about Fonseca. The only play, and Chris JWS brings up a great point. The only place the CUDA move to would be to Sharks Ice. And I totally agree, because there has been a lot of talk about Municipal Stadium and the San Jose Giants perhaps moving to a different location, which would free up a ton of space for Sharks Ice to expand. And if they had that option, all of a sudden they could put together a really cool facility that could house 5,000 fans. And
hold on, I thought that there was already in the works for an expansion.
That's what I was going to say. Was those building plans have been done for 5 years?
Yeah, and I thought that they just bought up a bunch of land across from Sharks Ice.
Yeah, that may very well be the case, but it all comes down to, what do you do with the San Jose Giants?
Yeah, that would be tragic for me.
But yeah, no, I go to a couple San Jose Giants games every year. It comes, I mean, maybe you move them to the county fairgrounds. I mean, maybe you build a new facility over there. I mean, there's clearly space there.
There's definitely space there.
Yeah. I mean, there are options.
Yeah, but I know that Sharks Ice is undergoing a renovation this summer, and those building plans have been ready for a while. It's just been a matter of funding, so it has sparked up, and I'm curious to see where that goes. Good call, AJ.
How funny would it be that, like there was all that talk for a while that the A's were wanting to move to San Jose and the Giants blocked it, and because of everything that happened in the early 90s when the Giants almost moved to Florida. How funny would it be if the Giants would, you know what? I think we want to put the San Jose Giants. I think we're going to put them in Oakland somewhere.
The Oakland Giants, that would just be weird.
That'd be weird.
Wow.
Gentry,
I do think there's a play. Even though the real estate here is ridiculously expensive and hard to come by, I do think there is a place that you could find to put a new version of municipal stadium, and I think you could do it relatively close. You might be able to do it literally across the street from where it is.
Yeah. Real quick, Gentry, Balsers and O'Regan both with 23 goals in their rookie year, but O'Regan had 58 points. Balsers will need 10 points on Saturday night to tie him.
I mean, I don't doubt it, so good for him.
Yeah.
Dude, great comments in the chat. Chester Chivo, what do you mean? The Barracuda can just have SAP Center once the Sharks move to where the Warriors are playing.
Oh,
I mean, we all know Hasso signed a contract. The Sharks are going to be here for at least another decade. But that's a hilarious comment.
This coming in, guys, Kadri will have an in-person hearing.
Yep.
So he's definitely getting at least 2 or more games.
Well, no, they announced that halfway through the Sharks game.
Yeah.
So, definitely kind of he's going to get the hammer thrown on him, I think.
I hope so. That was terrible.
I don't know. And I think that's the problem. If he doesn't get a minimum of 3, because people can sit there and go, oh, well, it's different when it's the playoffs but everything is, shrunken down and F you, okay? It comes down to the fact that you look at what Doughty did, that was glancing shoulder, ended up being, a chin knock. You can almost blame part of that on Doughty, but you can blame part of who did Doughty hit? I forget the guy's name.
It was William Carrier.
Yeah, Carrier. So you can almost blame part of that on Carrier for being down a little bit or whatever, not knowing his positioning. Not that I would blame Carrier for that, but Doughty went into that the right way. He went looking at the guy's shoulder. Tonight, Nazem Kadri was just total 1,000% douche on Wingles. And to me, let the punishment fit the crime. Doughty, 1 game for that, fine. I'm of the opinion, I don't think Doughty should have gotten a suspension for that. Give him the hearing, and you put that on the board that, okay, you have a rep now. But that BS that Kadri threw tonight, I'm sorry, that to me is series suspension worthy.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna say this though. I'm gonna give Carrier a huge amount of credit. I was looking at some of the highlights of that game. He was just giving it to Doughty the entire game. So Doughty was just I think that was a lot of frustration on Doughty's part to lay down that hit.
And player safety might have factored that in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, this is a really good segue into a classic After Dark segment. We call it the NHL Reach Around. Of course, Mr. Buckeye always calls it the NHL Wraparound, but
oh my God,
what does he know?
Freaking out right now.
But we will cover the action since we've been last off. So we've got some games from yesterday to cover. The Jets beat the Wild 2-3.
The Jets?
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about yesterday. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about today too, but okay.
Yeah, well, I figured since we've been off, we wanted to
I'll give
wrap up the series. So yes, the Jets win 3-2 against the Wild. Penguins score a touchdown on the Flyers. That did not look pretty.
What a shit show.
Yeah, did not look pretty. And then the Golden Knights defy expectations and win their first game 1-0 against
expectations. They won the Pac Div.
I picked them.
Yeah, I'm going to say that is not defying expectations by any stretch of the imagination, dude.
I don't know. I felt like the Knights kind of were the underdog in that series, but Yeah, I mean they
What the
win.
hell's he been smoking?
I don't know. I just never been.
He is in SoCal. Let's be honest.
Yeah, dude, are you picking up like a contact high from like Tijuana or something?
That's some bad shit. You don't want to mess with TJ. Anyhow, wrapping around tonight's action, the Devils lose to the Lightning 5-2.
Oh, but let's talk about that, man. The Devils just teased you just a scotch. Like the Lightning come out, get a 3-goal lead, and you're like, oh crap, this is going to end up like Philly, Pittsburgh. And all of a sudden, the Devils come back, Taylor Hall, Zajac, and you're like, so you're telling me there's a chance? And then, no, there isn't.
No. The Bruins just lay a curb stomp on the Maple Leafs. I mean, 5-1. Maple Leafs were the darling, going in. I mean, all of Toronto, the country of Toronto, basically having a massive orgy of playoff, I guess, viewing and just euphoria because of the Leafs being in there. They get a real big dose of reality.
Yeah. And not just Kadri's hit, but the Bruins power play was just merciless against the Maple Leafs tonight.
Nevis in the chat saying, yeah, when is the NHL expanding to Tijuana?
Yeah, they're going to go to Japan first. We all know it. Or
no,
China.
How great would that be? Instead of like desert dogs and you drink a beer, now it's like, the Tijuana something, and it's like everyone, tequila! Yeah.
The Blue Jackets stun the Capitals in overtime. Blue Jackets win 4-3. This, I mean, you just look at the Capitals and you just go face palm like, what?
Well, that was dumb coaching on Trotz's thing. Oh, let's go with Grubauer, instead of our proven goalie.
Dude, yeah. Nevis and the perfect name, the Tijuana Gringos. Yes, I like that. Did Ovechkin even play in this game?
No. He was there. He was dressed.
Dude, Kuznetsov all over the place. Ovi, you got nothing.
Yeah, it was not pretty.
And Chivo saying that the BJs survived a 5-minute major.
Yeah.
So huge. And then the tease of the night.
Yeah, the Avalanche were tied going into the third, I think.
Twice had a 1-goal lead in this one, and Philip Forsberg so far with the filthiest freaking goal of the postseason so far.
Yeah.
Filthy.
So the Predators.
In fact, you can see the highlight on Pornhub. It was so filthy.
The Predators beat the Avalanche 5-2 despite the tease. That series, I mean, I think the Predators were were shitting bricks there for the first couple of periods. Like, what the hell is going on here? But they prevail, and of course the Predators are going to do their Predator thing.
But the other thing that McKinnon only with a secondary assist in this one. McKinnon gets on the board. You can't put. I mean, talk about just putting all your bricks into one wheelbarrow. I mean, Jesus, poor McKinnon. Tell me he gets moved in the off season to somebody that has hope.
Well, I mean, I think he's the centerpiece that you build around, and
and I give you that,
and I
almost feel like Houston, instead of it's like there should be some sort of balance. Like Houston should get an expansion team, and as part of that, Arizona and Colorado just become one.
Merge.
Yeah, they're just gonna merge and try to take the best.
What is that? Cleveland Barons and North Stars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course the Sharks beat the Ducks 3-0. We also got a little tease in the warm-ups today. Jumbo taking part in the warm-up skates. Do we see Jumbo for game 2? AJ?
No.
Gentry?
The Sharks won 3-0. Don't fix it if it ain't broken.
Gentry? Do we see Jumbo game 2?
I would say keep him out until if the Sharks advance to round 2, you keep him out until round 2 and give him extra time to get ready.
Lacy, do we see Jumbo game 2?
Please no. Please no.
I actually think Jumbo will come back.
Wow.
And
game 2?
Game 2, I called it.
Let's bet. Let's make a bet. Make a bet.
He's like, well, you put your money where your mouth is.
Yes. Put your vocal stylings where your mouth is. What song are you singing if he does not come back game 2?
No, I think we will see Jumbo. I'm not gonna say flat out like that's a 100%. But
what song are you singing?
I'm not singing. I'm not making that. I'm not
he
making
literally has a guitar behind him, people. Oh, and Dave B. Pilot, though, with a great line saying, "Don't fix it if it ain't broken, unless it's Ryan in from Martin." And I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
You know, besides that one gaff that Paul Martin had in front of the net, where Jones had.
Oh, you mean his entire career?
But I didn't think Paul Martin was half bad in the offensive zone. In the defensive zone, he was complete shit. But
which is what you want from a defenseman.
Well, I thought in the offensive zone, I thought he was pretty good. Clearly, though, I mean, my keys to the series were bear down on the defense of Anaheim because they are unproven and they're missing 2 key guys off their blue line.
Bear down, bare naked down.
Yeah, bare naked down. And that's really going to be the keys to game 2, guys. Jentry, what are you going to be? You're going to be looking for in game 2, and the keys for you in game 2.
More of the same, but my key to game 2 is capitalize on your special teams, especially the power play. Even if don't wait for the 5-on-3. You got to the man advantage. You got to make them hurt. You got to put pucks to the net. Even if you don't score, at least use it to carry your momentum and create better chances and kind of put them on their heels a little bit.
Wow,
AJ, when did you get glasses?
Yeah, I was going to say nobody told me. And tonight, playing the part of AJ Strong, Jentry Alexander.
Saying that, AJ, what are your keys to game 2? And what are you looking for?
I said it before at the beginning, but I will reiterate. Get under Kessler's skin, get under Perry's skin, and now, of course, Montour, Getzlaf. Get those guys to take dumb penalties. You don't have to run them, but when you get the opportunity, take a number, man. Lay a big hit. Frustrate those guys. You saw the way that they came apart. Kessler tried to be uber douche tonight, and it worked against him, and he got called on it. Hurdle. Cannot say enough great things about Hurdle tonight and the way he handled it. He didn't lose his mind. He took it, and they got the call. And I believe on that penalty is the one that the Sharks scored on. So take it. To us, I'm not saying take all the crap that they dish at, but I'm saying play smart, but lay heavy hits on those 4 guys. They will lose their minds. They have a history of it. They literally have a history of it. Keep them in your sights. Take a number. Lay those big hits when they're available. Don't go headhunting, but lay those big hits when they're available, and they will start doing stupid stuff that puts you on the power play. And then, as Jentry just said, take advantage of those opportunities.
There's a quote that I always like that from one of my favorite movies, and it's 300. Is give them nothing but take from them everything. And that's what the Sharks have to do in game 2. You've given them nothing so far, but you can have a chance to take away home ice.
Nice.
We're going with movie quotes? Okay, I would go with History of the World Part 1. Kill him!
All right. Kevin, let's get your thoughts on game 2. What are going to be your keys, and what are you going to be looking for in game 2?
More of the same. I think that the Sharks really just need to continue to play their game, and I know that's the whole cliche and all that, but look at every time the Sharks have been eliminated from the playoffs, it's when they try to match their opponent. Just play your own game.
Yep.
Tonight proved that exactly. 3-0. Awesome. If you're going to give Ducks a little some of their own medicine, sure, fine, but play your own game. And game 2, this is big, because if they lose, if the Ducks win game 2, tonight is pretty much meaningless. So let's just stay the course here. Although I'm with you guys. Let's get a little Joachim Ryan in there. But
well, the Sharks have already stolen home ice, so that's definitely definitely great. So
that's huge. But again, going back to movie quotes, let's not start sucking each other's cocks just yet.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go around the horn with your final thoughts and where to catch you. AJ, final thoughts on where can they catch you?
Play your game, Sharks, and do it again on Saturday. You can find me on the Soch, AJ_Strong, on Twitter, on Instagram, also doing the Insta for Teal Town USA, and occasionally getting into trouble on Teal Town USA on Twitter. New Puck Knowledge just dropped a couple days ago. Please go check that out because it was quite possibly the funniest one we did all season. And it was a little bit of the last 5 games of the Sharks regular season and kind of a season recap. It was a lot of fun to do. So tip of the hat to Rocket and Hockey Jerk because a very fun one. So go check that out. And hey, do me a favor. If you listen to the podcast, leave a comment on SoundCloud, give us a review on Twitter, any type of thumbs up. We would very much appreciate that, Landy.
Thank you. All right, Jentry, let's get your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Final thoughts, good start and, take game 2 because that's all you kind of need to do. I mean, silence the Ducks, shoot them out of the air because when Ducks fly together, they also fall together. So you can find me at Twitter, JAlexander46, same thing on Instagram. Finding all my hot takes that people hate. So find me on there.
All right, Lacy, can we get your final thoughts on where the good people can find you?
Great game, probably by the Sharks. I didn't see it, but also a great game by the Barracuda as well. I will say this: when the Sharks traded for Eric Fair, I said the biggest thing that comes about this is the Barracuda will stop getting killed by the goals because he was their leading scorer. And now all of a sudden the Barracuda might knock the goals out of the playoffs. So way to go, Eric Fair. Yeah. So I'm at Kevin Lacy 22. You can find me on Twitter and most social media platforms. And my bracket so far through one game of each series is 7-4-8. That one series is the Sharks, and I'm okay with that.
I haven't even looked mine up. Hold on.
All right. Well, I'm Erik Landi. You can find me on social media, all that social media garbage, using my first name and my last name. That's Eric with a K, Landi, not Y. I don't have laundry in my name. I have Landy in my name. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe, the little red button. Like I said before, use the bell to get the instant notifications to let you know when we go live. We've got some great stuff coming in the pipe. We'll have the crew come by for game 2. I believe that is going to be Puck Guy. I think is going to be on the air game 2. I think AJ will be on, and no, AJ will not be on. Sorry, I think it's Alex Martinet is going to be on, and I think we'll also have another guest on Saturday. But thank you so much, everybody. We topped out at 65 viewers tonight, which is really great. We're gonna really have some really good view numbers. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. Thank you very much, and we will see you after game 2. Good night, Sharks Land.
Holla.